Carl, are you there?
I'm here, Kevin. Sorry about that, mate.
That's all right. Good to have you on the show. We were just discussing, I don't know if you can see this, let's play it again for you. We kind of broke this story yesterday, Carl, and that is that Angela Rayner, when she was forced to quit as Housing Secretary 7 months ago, in the manner of these things, for some reason, she was paid a ministerial payoff of £17,000. A lot of people saying, well, why do cabinet secretaries get this payoff anyway? You know, that's not how we want our tax money spent, giving it to politicians with their snouts in the trough. But we'll park that issue for now. But
Originals, I'm Emily Carver. Please do give this video a like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. And do leave a comment. Let me know what you think.
In her case, she has to leave that job basically in disgrace because she didn't pay her stamp duty. She was a kind of a tax dodger. Now she's come back to that job just 7 months later. And there are serious calls for her to repay that £17,000. Before I get your response, Carl, this is Angela on the BBC earlier today.
The Conservatives are now saying you should repay it back because you're back in the job you left.
Sure, and that was a year ago. And Matt, these people were. It was a revolving door after 40 odd days, and then went straight back. I mean, we're talking about if you want to dissect what the Tories did at that time, we had multiple. Prime Ministers.
You should repay the money. Will you repay the money?
No, my severance payment was given to me at the time. I'd worked in government for a period of time, and then I came out of government for just under a year, I think is the timetable, and I'll be delivering in government again.
Well, first of all, Carl, it's not a year ago, it's 7 months ago. Andy Burnham is making much of telling us he wants to treat us to a new kind of politics. Well, the case of Angela Rayner and that ministerial payoff that she refuses to give back, that strikes me, Carl, as the same old Westminster sleaze. If Andy Burnham wants to clean up the sleaze pit, I think he ought to order Angela Rayner to repay that money. What do you think?
Well, look, I've got to be honest with you, Kevin. We were screaming from the rooftops, from the rafters, for the likes of Liz Truss to repay severance pay and other ministers who'd failed after a matter of weeks in the job. I think the former Chancellor of the Exchequer under Liz Truss was one who was calling to repay severance pay. But I remember the conversation I had with people at the time, and people pointed out that a trade unionist should never be asking for an employee, effectively, to repay severance pay. So my old dad, bless his cotton socks, who's not with us now, was a trade unionist. He'd be saying, what are you talking about, telling people to repay severance pay?
Look, Carl, you're a guy, you know, fairly rare, I think, among MPs, but I think you're connected to the people. You're a genuine man of the people. You understand ordinary people. A lot of people in Westminster absolutely don't. You will understand, for that reason, that people, we the people, when we see this kind of great snouts in the trough stuff, we are disgusted. You should see my switchboard. People are repulsed by this. Surely Andy Burnham should do something about it. Don't tell us it's a new kind of politics when he's allowing his new reinvigorated housing secretary to stick her snout in the trough like that. It doesn't work. Surely he should do something about this.
Well, look, I agree, Kevin, that my constituents would be saying repay the money if you're back in the job fairly soon.
Severance pay, unfunded promises, and the quiet return of political sleaze in modern Britain. Welcome to Britain Underneath, the home where we peel back the polished veneer of Westminster to examine what is truly unfolding in British politics. Before we dive straight into this unfolding saga, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification button. Subscribing helps us immensely as an independent platform, ensuring we can continue delivering sharp, unfiltered political commentary straight to your screen. When Angela Rayner stood down from her ministerial responsibilities 7 months ago, amid questions regarding her past tax affairs, the public was assured that accountability was being served. Yet here we are, merely 7 months down the line, witnessing her quiet reinstatement to cabinet status alongside a tidy £17,000 severance package that she steadfastly refuses to return. When challenged on national broadcasts, her response was as swift as it was predictable, shifting the focus to historical precedent rather than addressing the ethical optics of accepting public funds for a brief hiatus. It is a masterclass in political manoeuvring, yet to the average taxpayer watching from home, it feels remarkably like business as usual in the corridors of power.
Look, I will defend her on this a little bit, I have to say, because I think she's been out of government for what, 7 or 8 months?
7 months, yeah.
7 months.
She's pretending it's a year. It's not a year, it's 7 months.
7 months. She was paid the severance pay because she left, had to resign, forced to resign. I think, Kevin, actually, she resigned because there was a campaign against her within Number 10 Downing Street.
Or was it that she got caught dodging her stamp duty tax? Well, was it that? Do you think that was it? That was the reason, wasn't it?
Well, she failed to pay the stamp duty.
Yeah, and that's why she had to quit. That's why she had to quit.
Listen, but as I understand it, she was smeared and briefed against, and all the shenanigans. Well, yeah,
if you keep your stamp duty affairs in order, then you won't be briefed.
You don't get briefed and smeared.
She's the architect of her own downfall, but she seems to have clawed her way back up to the top. Let's move on to sort of a wider issue. Andy Burnham, I know you're a friend and supporter. He's certainly got people skills that his predecessor didn't have, don't get me wrong. But I estimate in the last couple of days he's made nearly £2 billion worth of pledges, £850 million to pay for VAT cuts on energy bills. That'll save us all £86 a week. £340 million to end rough sleeping. That won't end rough sleeping, but it's a nice gesture. £450 million to cap bus fares at £2, and now we're learning 100 million more to help pubs, to give them a tax break as they struggle through these difficult times. So these are all nice pledges, but they're not funded, they're not costed. I mean, where is he going to find £2 billion? The magic money tree is a nice concept when you're in opposition, but when you're the Prime Minister, it doesn't exist. Where's he going to find the money, Carl?
Well, I'm not in the Treasury, Kevin, as you know, and I doubt whether I ever would be, because the reality is I'm not terribly good at maths. My daughter, who's 10, comes home with maths homework, and I've got to tell you, I'm Googling for most of the time. Well, look, the truth is, what Burnham is saying is that he's repurposing resource. So, for example, on the Daft ID card scheme, which was not going to work, it was pointless because it was never going to do what it said it was going to do on the tin, is going to use resource from that. Now,
but wait a second, though, Carl, I've got to
Darren Jones says...
Take a breath, because the story does not end with individual payouts. Beyond the headline-grabbing personal stipends lies a far grander display of fiscal performance art. Over the span of just 48 hours, fresh pledges totalling nearly £2 billion have been splashed across the airwaves. We are promised energy VAT reductions, capped public transport fares, assistance for community pubs, and homelessness relief. On paper, these sound like noble initiatives designed to ease the burden on everyday families. But when pressed on where this capital will materialise, the answers dissolve into vague talk of repurposed allocations and spreadsheet adjustments. It appears the magical finance tree, so frequently criticised during campaign cycles, suddenly blooms whenever convenient announcements are required. If you value this deep look behind the parliamentary curtain, please consider hitting that subscribe button right now. Your subscription is the vital foundation that keeps Britain Underneath growing, allowing us to bring you these critical breakdowns day after day.
Yeah, that doesn't save anything. That doesn't save anything.
Well, he says it wasn't costed, but the reality was it was on the spreadsheet, waiting to have resource and money allocated from the Treasury.
But he said it wasn't funded. He said it wasn't funded. So
I know.
They didn't.
I know.
By the way, it's interesting he now tells us this. He didn't tell us while he was sponsoring that scheme while he was in government.
Well, exactly.
But that's another issue.
Well, exactly. But look, I do think this, though, Kevin, honestly. I think John Healey is a guy who is not going to be able to allow daft promises of spend when the money's not there.
I agree with that.
So there's got to be money found. He's not an idiot, John Healey. He's a guy who's incredibly serious. He's well respected across the House of Commons. I think he's well respected amongst civil service as well. If these monies are not going to be made available, if they're not there already, then John Healey will have a problem with that, and he'll make sure that the problem is communicated to number 10 Downing Street. But you've got to remember this as well. The Prime Minister of the country is the First Lord of the Treasury.
Yep.
He is the man or woman who gets to decide where monies are spent, first and foremost, and then the battle comes with the Treasury. So I expect those discussions have been had already. Burnham's not a guy who's going to do anything daft. These amounts of money are not massive spends in the scheme of things, but they're important spends, and they say what the direction of traffic is going to be. Example, pubs and nightclubs, music venues.
I agree with you, Carl. These are all very encouraging gestures. But then you step forward from that and say, well, wait a minute, where's the money coming from? He said yesterday they're all funded. That just isn't true. So he better get his act together. Him and John Healey better get their act together, because you can't keep making empty promises that you can't pay for. Otherwise, he's riding for a fall, Carl.
Well, John Healey will not be pulling his hair out, bless his cotton socks.
Well, that's because he hasn't got any.
Not much of it's left, Kevin. But I'm confident, honestly, given the fact that John is genuinely a very serious guy.
I agree with that.
He wouldn't allow promises of spend which don't exist. And it's probably right that the monies are not allocated already, but there'll be a way of getting the monies to those resources fast. Otherwise, Burnham, I promise you, wouldn't be making these gestures. It's only little things. You know, it's not going to make massive difference, but to those pubs, you know, a couple of my pubs.
I agree with that. Look, I'm not against the initiatives. I'm just worried about them, how they're going to get paid for. Can I ask you a last question, Carl? I'm glad we got you, by the way. I hope you're having a nice. Hope you're having a nice holiday. It looks very nice.
Thank you, mate.
You had the whip taken away from you because you had the temerity to speak your mind, particularly about David Lammy's plans to scrap jury trials. I'm hearing that Andy and his new Justice Secretary, Alex Norris, intend not to go through with scrapping jury trials, so that's a very pleasing development as well. But given that you've got a new sheriff in town, are you going to get the Labour whip back? I think you should, shouldn't you?
Well, Kevin, Andy Burnham, in the weeks that led to him being elected as the MP for Makerfield, spoke to me very regularly, and we texted an awful lot about various issues, but mainly about the issue of jury trials. And he committed to me that if he was the leader of the Labour Party and Prime Minister, he wouldn't allow this ludicrous plan to go forward, and that gave me confidence to carry on speaking against the ludicrous policy. It's not just a daft, unfair policy, Kevin. It is completely unworkable.
It's horrible. It's a horrible policy. But
it's just a terribly unfair policy.
We all agree on that, Carl. We agree. Andy encouragingly seems to agree with you. So we're all on the same page with that. So with a view to that, are you going to get the Labour whip back?
Well, I'm going to have to do some sort of grovelling and saying sorry for things that I've supposedly done. If I've been too robust in my opposition to jury trial curtailment, I want the world to know that I'm terribly sorry. I'm on my knees. I'm begging and pleading for forgiveness. I'll never be so robust again in my opposition to the most ludicrous policy that any government of any political persuasion could have ever conceived. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, and I can hardly wait to be whipped
back into the Labour Party. I think you're going to.
My life, Kevin.
I think you're going to get it, Carl, and you deserve it. But one last question: has Andy Burnham, your friend, now the Prime Minister, been in touch with you since ascending to his new great position?
We've not spoken since about. I'm losing track of days because we're driving through Europe. I think a week last Saturday I spoke with Andy directly, but we've been texting regularly, and I spoke to one of his special advisors about 3 hours ago directly.
Well, they should get you back in the party. You're a good man.
To keep this channel alive and expanding, I earnestly ask you to subscribe. Every single subscriber directly supports our efforts to maintain high-quality, independent reporting on United Kingdom affairs. Hit that subscribe button, join our community, and return for our upcoming coverage as we continue to unearth what lies beneath the surface of British politics.